Let's Do It, Let's Fall in Love becomes more interesting if we employ some historical criticism. The song was written for the 1928 Broadway musical Paris. It was introduced by the French musical star Irene Bordoni, who by 1928 standards was considered to be a little risque. Cole Porter was a young, closeted gay man who was trying to make his way in the world of show business. And internally speaking, he was chafing at the moral and intellectual restrictions of the American popular song. So he wrote a song called Let's Do It for Irene Bordoni, the naughty French actress. It is difficult for us to remember in the 21st century, but in 1928, there was a board of censors that had to approve every song lyric before it could be performed publicly or recorded to protect the morality of our youth. Now, the Board of Censors became much more active and problematic in the 1930s. In 1928, it didn't do much, but it did censor Cole Porter's song, Let's Do It. The board would not allow the performance of this song because they felt the pronoun it referred to sex, which it does, and that was unacceptable. So Cole Porter revised the song and added a parenthetical expression in the title, Let's Fall in Love. At that point, the Board of Censors approved the song since the pronoun it no longer appeared to refer to sex. Of course, that is silly. This is a song about sex, whether the parenthetical expression is there or not. And as a side note, this little historical anecdote illustrates a good argument against censorship. The people doing the censoring almost never know what they're doing. Now, before we get to the lyrics themselves, let me remind you that Cole Porter washed out of college at Yale. But he did soak up a lot of intellectual ideas of the age. In the field of anthropology in the 1920s, for example, there was a revolution going on. Up until that time, anthropologists had focused on the differences between human beings and the rest of the animal kingdom. In the 1920s, the focus shifted for a lot of reasons that we won't get into now, and centered on the similarities between human beings and the rest of the animal kingdom. So the anthropological focus in the 1920s was that human beings are a lot like all the other animals. Well, Cole Porter takes that idea and refashions it humorously in Let's Do It, Let's Fall in Love. Also, a song about sex is Cole Porter's way of thumbing his nose at what he perceived to be the narrowness of middle-class American morality. But he does it so humorously that the song was a great hit, and all those middle-class Americans didn't realize that their values were being poked fun at. Okay, let's take a look at the lyrics. I haven't even listed them all because they go on and on forever. Birds do it, bees do it, even educated fleas do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love. Now, I'm not going to stop at every stanza, but note that there's a lot of personification in these lyrics. There are educated fleas, sentimental centipedes, lazy jellyfish, among others. Also note how some of the verses are about people and some are about animals, underscoring the point that we're all about alike. In Spain, the best upper sets do it. Lithuanians and let's do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love. Okay, there's a homophone. Let's and let's. The Dutch in Old Amsterdam do it, not to mention the Finns. Folks in Siam do it. Think of Siamese twins. things. Some Argentines without means do it. People say in Boston even beans do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love. Old Cape Cod clams 'gainst their wish do it. Even lazy jellyfish do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love. Electric eels, I might add, do it, though it shocks some I know. Why ask if shad do it? Waiter, bring me shad roe. Now, you might not understand that. Shad is a fish, and shad roe is a real delicacy. Only very wealthy people eat it in the fanciest big city restaurants, which is where Cole Porter often spent a good bit of his time. I thought shad roe referred to the eggs of the shad. But I looked it up and found out that the roe is the uterus of the adult female shad. So you see how that reference blends right into this theme of sex and reproduction. In shallow shoals, English souls do it. Goldfish in the privacy of bowls do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love. I don't know whether we've talked about the poetic device of alliteration. It's the repetition of consonant sounds, like shallow shoals, English souls. Cole Porter loves alliteration and uses it all the time. Also note we've got the irony in the privacy of bowls. There's no privacy in a fish bowl. I'm sure giraffes on the sly do it. Every hippopotami do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love. Old sloths who hang down from twigs do it, though the effort is great. Sweet guinea pigs do it. Buy a couple and wait. The world admits bears and pits do it. Even Pekingeses in the Ritz do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love. The pits here refer to pit bulls. The Pekingese are little dogs that were favorites among the wealthy in the 1920s and 30s. The Ritz refers to high-class hotels, and one would often see the wealthy old ladies and gentlemen who stayed at these places walking their Pekingese. The dragonflies in the reeds do it. Sentimental centipedes do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love. Mosquitoes, heaven forbid, do it. So does every katydid do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love. A katydid is an insect prevalent in the summertime. In the evening, they make a high-pitched chirping sound that sounds like katydid. Katydid, katydid. And note the play on words of Katy did do it. The most refined ladybugs do it when their gentlemen call. Moths in the rug do it. What's the use of mothballs? Of course, mothballs are outdated now. Perhaps your grandmother or great-grandmother might have used mothballs to protect storage items. Penguins in flocks on the rocks do it. Even little cuckoos in their clocks do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love. Well, those are very witty, fun lyrics. When dealing with popular song lyrics, we don't need to come up with subjects and themes all the time, but in these lyrics, the subject is clearly sex. And the theme is that sex is natural to the entire animal kingdom. We are, after all, just animals. Sex is just as natural to human beings as it is to birds, bees, fish, guinea pigs, hippopotami, or anything else. Of course, if you had put it that way, many people in 1928 would have been offended. But the point is that Cole Porter didn't put it that way. He put it so humorously and so good-humoredly that he made his point without offending people. Note that with all these song lyrics, the song itself is posted on CourseWeb so that you can hear it.